Welcome back to another episode of Heebie Jeebies TV. Now, today we're going to talk about a topic that I find to be quite interesting. I know a lot of other people definitely find this topic to be very interesting, very fascinating because of how mysterious it is. Now, we've talked about this topic occasionally, and it's about missing 411. But today, I kind of want to just focus on the parks that are technically considered hotspots for this strange phenomenon. And one of the most famous parks where people go missing is Yosemite. Now, this park, if you don't know, is actually located in California, and a lot of people go missing here. And it's very odd because sometimes people will go missing and they're just absolutely never heard of again, and there's minimal clues about what could have happened to them. And then other times they're found deceased, and it's strange because their bodies will be found in areas that were previously searched. And some of the time people are found and they are found alive. And the weird thing here is that a lot of the times the people that are found don't really remember what happened to them, and they're usually found really, really far away from where they went missing, almost to the point where it seems like it should really be impossible for this person to travel such a distance within the amount of time that they were reported as missing. And Yosemite is not just a hotspot for missing people. There's a whole slew of paranormal activity going on here. This is a big hotspot for UFO sightings. People often report seeing lights in the sky, strange encounters that they can't really explain. Obviously, it wouldn't be a paranormal hotspot without some Bigfoot sightings. There's definitely been quite a lot of these as well. There's a strange phenomenon. I don't even want to call it a phenomenon. It's just a strange thing happening where people stumble across the heads of severed deers, and no one seems to know who is doing this or why they're doing this. There's been some speculation that, maybe there was some serial killer on the loose and that they were responsible for the amount of people going missing, and that the severed head deers are just considered like a gruesome tactic, maybe playing with people's mind. And the region is also actually believed to be cursed by the Miwok people. And what they say is that the waterfall is cursed. They believe that there is an evil wind in the area called the Pohono. And in Yosemite, there's actually a very tall waterfall, and there are several trails that lead up to this waterfall where you can see it from the top, you can take in the view. Apparently, it's a very beautiful hike to take. So it's believed by the Miwok people that the Pohono wind actually encaptivates people, and it almost kind of hypnotizes them. And when they get up to the top of the waterfall, it pulls them closer and closer to the edge, and then somehow forces them to jump or fall off the edge to their death. Now, there's even speculation here from what I see on a lot of forums. There's definitely an abundant amount of people talking about this. And I think it actually stems from the creator, founder of Missing 411, David Paulides. He actually did a video on a girl that went missing quite a while ago. Her name was Stacy Arras, and this missing persons case actually has kind of like a cult following. People are so captivated about what happened to her and how mysterious her disappearance was. But when he was doing research for this case, he actually called the Yosemite Park and tried to get information on missing people lists and why nobody was looking into this girl's case. And what he received was a lot of negative pushback from the park officials, saying that they didn't want to give over her case files, that it wasn't necessary, that he shouldn't be looking into this sort of information, and basically that it just wasn't possible to put a list together of the amount of people that have gone missing in the park. Now, this led him to question why. Why is the park trying to hide this information? Are they trying to conceal the amount of people that are going missing? Do they know information that the public doesn't know about Stacy's disappearance? So this has led a lot of people to believe that, the parks might be covering up something that we don't fully understand yet. So like I mentioned earlier, the true amount of people that have gone missing at Yosemite isn't exactly known, but it is quite high. And in today's video, we're going to cover 3 cases that I find to be very interesting and also just as mysterious. Now, this first case is about a woman called Alice Che, and this is a fairly recent case within the past year and a half. And you'll see why I find it to be very interesting and very suspicious. So Alice was a 40-year-old woman, and she was of Chinese background, and she had actually moved to California. She was living in Mariposa, California, and had actually made the trip to Yosemite for a day hike. She had really wanted to go see the area and wanted to spend the day outdoors. Now, it's believed that the last day Alice was seen alive was January 14th of 2021. The last person to have seen her alive was another hiker in the area, and her name was Anna. And she actually gave a short interview about what happened the day she saw Alice. Now, they had actually crossed paths on their way up to one of the peaks in Yosemite. And Anna said she saw Alice carrying a green backpack, and they were actually both making their way up to the top. So as they're making their way towards the peak, Alice actually was ahead of Anna, and then Anna eventually caught up to her, and Alice had actually moved aside to let Anna pass her. And this is where they kind of just exchanged a very quick hello. They smiled at each other. And this is something that Anna said she remembered because she was the only person that she had crossed right before getting to the top. So Anna had gotten to the top first, and not too short after, she saw Alice actually making her way back to the top as well. So here they exchange hellos again. And then that was the last time she recalled seeing her. After a little bit, Anna decided to make her way back down before darkness. On January 15th, Alice was reported missing. So her friends and family are wondering what is going on. Where is Alice? No one has any idea about what could have happened to her. All they know is that she was last seen at Yosemite. And what the park didn't tell us is that her body was actually found on the 15th, the same day she went missing, but they didn't release this information for about a week. And people have a lot of questions as to why. They actually didn't announce that Alice's body was found on the 24th of January. That is quite a fair amount of time to go in between reporting someone missing and then announcing that their body was found. Wouldn't you want to let the people that are looking for her know that she has been found? And to add to this, the park actually refuses to release information about where they found her green backpack as well. What we do know is that Anna was found at the base of Yosemite Falls, and they did find her green backpack, but park officials refused to release where they found her green backpack. It's not making a lot of sense as to why they would hide that information. All they're saying is that her body was found at the base of the mountain. But what I find interesting is that authorities are not releasing if this was an accident, if this was a homicide, if this was something that was intentionally done. And I find that to be very, very interesting considering how long they took to release the information about her being found at all. So my question here is, why do you guys think authorities are hiding the details about Alice's unfortunate death? You know, there hasn't seemed to be much correlation between the information that they're providing us. There's a lot of speculation online from what I see. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So the next case we're going to talk about is about Sandra Johnson Hughes. Now, Sandra was a 54-year-old woman, and she had brown hair and brown eyes and had actually just moved from Hawaii to California. She was last seen on July 4th, 2020 near the Chiquito Trail Pass. She had actually been camping around the Sierra National Forest, and this is where her car was actually found. And unfortunately, she had actually crashed her car, and it was in fairly poor condition. It was a pretty bad crash. Now, there were a lot of witnesses in this area that actually saw her after the accident, and they said that she was walking around barefoot, and she was actually behaving very, very strange. She was walking around, she wasn't making a lot of sense, And a lot of people did offer to help her, but for unknown reasons, Sandra refused everyone's help. A few days later, her sleeping bag was actually found about 2.5 kilometers from the accident, actually close to Yosemite Park. And then on top of this, her original campsite was also discovered. But what was unusual about her campsite was how messy it was. It was very, very disorganized. It looked as if someone had kind of broken in there and started rummaging through everything, throwing things around very carelessly, like they were looking for something specific. This alone was very, very strange for Sandra's family. There was an interview with one of her family members, and they actually said that Sandra was a very, very tidy, very neat and organized person. So the fact that her campsite was found in complete disarray was very confusing for them and just didn't make sense with who Sandra was. On August 9th, there were 2 hunters that actually reported seeing a woman that matched Sandra's description, and she was actually seen barefoot, and they reported as her leaning against a tree near the Portuguese outlook. She didn't try to talk to them, and they didn't really approach her. It's not very clear as to why they didn't go see if this woman needed help. But from what they said is that they recognized her immediately from the missing woman posters. The only noticeable difference was that she had lost quite a bit of weight. After that sighting, there have been literally 0 clues about where Sandra has gone. There's been no other sightings, and everyone is just really stumped about why Sandra left her accident, why she refused help, and why she didn't approach these people for help if she had been missing for already a significant amount of time. Our next case is actually about a man called Kieran Burke, and he was an Irish citizen. At the time of his disappearance, he was actually visiting California on vacation for 2 weeks. And this case actually takes place in the year 2000. And while Kieran was on vacation, he had actually booked a hotel near Yosemite from April 4th to the 6th, 2000. His family actually described him as being a very fun, outgoing person. He loved the outdoors. He would try to spend as much of his time as possible outside, and he was actually considered to be a very well-experienced hiker. So he was last seen at the Yosemite Valley Curry Village on April 5th. And his rental car was actually also discovered at the Curry Village parking lot, but there were absolutely no other signs of Kieran or his whereabouts when they discovered his rental car. From the last time people saw him or saw someone that they thought looked like him, it's assumed or believed that Kieran was actually last seen carrying a camera, but that's the only distinctive feature people have been able to remember. And the unfortunate, really, really unfortunate part here is that because Kieran was on vacation, the search didn't start for him until April 11th, which is 6 days after he was last seen. An extensive search was done for Kieran. They searched high and low. They closed down certain parts of the park. They really did look for him extensively, but unfortunately there were no clues found about what could have happened to Kieran, and to this day no one has any idea what happened to him. So these are just 3 cases of the crazy amount of people that have gone missing in Yosemite. If you go next door to the Sierra Mountains, there's a boatload of more missing people there as well. It's very, very interesting as to how many people have actually disappeared here only to never be found, and very little clues are left behind. So my question here is, what do you guys think is going on? Why do you think people are disappearing without a trace? Where do you think they're going? Do you think this is something paranormal? Is there a crazy serial killer on the loose? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.